Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is finally out on the PS5, and I've taken the last week or so to play the game, and almost 100%, I actually almost have the platinum for this. I've put countless hours into this game, and I'm really much excited to talk about this because I am a major Ratchet and Clank fan, and for me, I'm always big into gaming. I know this channel is very much more about movies and TV, but I am trying to infuse more of gaming in here, at least on the weekends, to where I can discuss it because, again, I just love games. It's like my favorite passion on the side of it all, and when I just need to relax and escape into something else that's not film, it's video games that do that for me. When the video game is great, it even adds that next level to it. And Ratchet and Clank is pretty much the franchise that I've always been a massive fan of. And I really mention that because I think back in the day on the PS2 era, you were really much either Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Sly Cooper, or maybe you played them all three of them a lot, but you were always that distinctive one. And for me, I was the person who loved Ratchet and Clank the most. Not saying any side shy from Sly Cooper and Jak and Daxter. I need remasters of those, or at least a sequel to those, because those games are phenomenal. But Ratchet and Clank was the one that was always there for me. It was the one that I started out with on the PS2. It was one of my first games that I ever got for it. I had a blast playing it, played every single franchise and every single one in there except maybe like the PSP spin-off Agent Clank, which I heard was pretty cool. But for me, again, this was a big franchise that I love, and seeing that this was going to be one of the first big next-gen titles for the PS5 got me even more excited, especially with all the stuff Insomniac has been doing over the years. The two Spider-Man games, which awesome, and then of course Sunset Overdrive, which was completely underrated. If you still have not played that, please go check it out. It's literally like $5 on the Xbox. You definitely need to see it. This is the direct sequel to the last PS3 Ratchet and Clank game that was a little bit of fun, and from there we saw Clank finally fixing and taking the little multiverse kind of dimensionator and taking that, and you know, in this game we see it opening up with him giving it to Ratchet as a present. He wants him to find the other Lombaxes out there, but of course Dr. Nefarious ruins it all, and they end up going on a dimensionator adventure of going through different dimensions here and there, and end up meeting another Lombax named Rivet and another version of Clank called Kit. And for me, just from that standalone thing, everything I'd seen from this game, I was sold. And the game very much sells you on that in such a high light. I loved Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart so much. In fact, I sat there just going, this is one of the best games in the franchise. Not just on a story level, which we'll talk about in a second, but technically, yes, this is the best game yet. Using and very much taking in all the power of the PS5 and infusing that in here. Graphically, it's stunning. I sat there with my jaw on the floor with the ray tracing and all sorts of things like that, and just being like, how, like, I know for PC players, they've gotten to play this a lot, but the fact that I get to see like two of my favorites of all time with all these new graphical enhancements, it adds a lot, and especially for the emotion that these characters can really much bring to the story that is playing out in here. Plus, technically, the game is near flawless with the gameplay. It's so much fun switching from gun to guns, trying out different ones, trying out different tactics, and the amount of guns in here just varies. I mean, that's one of the big things, is seeing which weapons you're going to use in Ratchet and Clank, and I always eat that up because when I pick the weapons, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do this one this time, or for different situations, and you always have to be quick on your feet or you will end up dying. This game is kind of hard, depending on the difficulty you choose, and I always love that because it skews to your intelligence. Like, this is a quick on-your-feet thinking thing. Like, okay, for this situation, I need to use this gun, this gun, this gun, and this gun. And for other situations, you use that. And I just love it. I love being able to try all the different ones, and unlocking them all is always a blast, too, because then you go back through the game. Once you beat it, they have this challenge mode that makes the game a little bit harder. But, like, think of New Game Plus. But you get all your guns and even more surprises, and going back through that and starting it a second time, I just sat there like, this is just great. I think for me, that's the thing that I eat up every time I play Ratchet and Clank, is the guns, and seeing how just great they can be and how great they feel on the DualSense. The fact that you like pull on the trigger a little bit and it shoots a little bit, and then you pull it all the way down and it shoots differently. This is like seriously next-gen stuff, and I'm loving the PS5 controller for that, and the way that the developers are really much honing in and planting their funness in there. Is that a word? Probably not, but still, it's fun. Getting all that technical mumbo-jumbo out of the way, of course, like the gameplay, the graphics, it's all freaking fantastic. The thing that I was really much looking forward to in Ratchet and Clank was just going on another adventure, but the thing that I was nervous about was Rivet. Not saying that this didn't look like a bad character, Ratchet and Clank are my favorite things. That's why I play these games. Not for Rivet and Kit, the other two characters that are in here. And I was worried that, okay, like, is it gonna be enough Ratchet and Clank? Is it not? I definitely will say you probably play more as Rivet in this game than you do as Ratchet. But I seriously can contend, Rivet is a fascinating character. And the way that they really much split the story down in half, where you get stuff with Ratchet and Clank, and Rivet and another character named Kit, I loved it. I love the way that they took on that and this whole new dimension thing and all the loading. Like, there's literally 0 loading screens in here. You go from a cutscene straight into gameplay, and I'd be like, wow. And I know we've been seeing that, but sometimes there's like a little bit of a graphical difference. Here, there's nothing. It just flows seamlessly. And it makes me look back at other Ratchet and Clank games and being like, man, I wish they all did this, but I was very much surprised by how much I love Rivet in here. In fact, she was my favorite aspect of the entire game. If for any reason Insomniac was to go like, hey, we're gonna let Ratchet and Clank take a break for a couple games and give it to Rivet and Kit, I'd be all there for it, because I think they're fascinating characters. Honestly, going forward, I would prefer a co-op centric game where we just get Rivet and Ratchet and you and a co-op buddy on the couch could sit there and play as both, because I would be all down for that. And maybe that's their plans for the future, maybe it's not, but again, I loved what they did with Rivet. I love what they did with Kit, and I didn't expect for it to be such an emotional story between the two, and again, seeing the differences in their dimension compared to Ratchet and Clank. Of course, I'm not getting into spoilers, I don't really want to. I think that's unfair for all of you guys who haven't gotten to even get a PS5 yet, or in general the game, and just want to hear my thoughts. But seriously enough, I was very much impressed with them overall. Honestly, when it comes to cons, there's only a couple things that I maybe would have changed in this game. Now, yes, there are a couple bugs that I ran into here and there where I would just like randomly die. Like, there was one point, I was literally walking and just died. No one shot me, no nothing, I had full health, just died. And I was like, okay, that's a little weird. The other element that I maybe would have changed a little bit in here is I think I would have made the story itself a little bit longer. While there's a lot to do on some of these planets and a lot of side stuff, I did feel like I was beating it pretty fast, and I don't expect Ratchet and Clank to be like a 50+ hour game or anything, but pretty much the story you could probably beat in less than 7 hours or so if you're just straight up going through it. And again, nothing wrong with that, but I would have liked to have a little bit more smaller moments between Ratchet and Clank and Rivet and Kit, or in general just them two together, because I don't think we got enough of Rivet and Ratchet together. Again, that's like small stuff, and I'm hoping for the future that we do get more of that, because that is what this game really much established, is brought back my love to Ratchet and Clank. Because while I love the remake they did a couple years back, I definitely needed this in my life, and I'm so happy that it is, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. So with all that said, guys, I am going to give Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart a 9 out of 10. Overall, a great game, one of the best in the franchise so far, and I ate it up. And I'm really curious to hear your guys' thoughts, or in general, how excited are you to finally play it when you do get a PS5 or you do get the game? Let's discuss it down there, guys. Make sure as well to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as comment down below and let me know your guys' thoughts. I can't wait to hear it all. And of course, just a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters for watching this and just supporting the channel. It helps immensely. So of course, guys, until next time, stay classy.